Vice Chair Rulon, and have you begin.
God help us all. All right. So calling the meeting to order. It is 4:15 p.m. on March 9th, 2026. This is the Beautification and Public Art Commission meeting. Roll call. Commissioner McCord is excused.
Yes.
Commissioner Cruz. We'll get back to it.
Hey, I'm here.
Woo! Commissioner McGrath.
Also excused.
Also excused. Okay. Commissioner Elman Heath.
Excused.
Okay. Commissioner Travelby.
Present.
Commissioner Curley.
Present.
And Vice Chair Rulon, I am here. Public participation. Is there any? No?
So no one approached me by 3 p.m. today. Is there anybody in the room who would like to do public participation? Hearing none, there is none.
All right. Approval of the February minutes. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the minutes as written.
Thank you, Commissioner Curley. Second.
This is Audra. I'll
Hi,
second.
this is Commissioner Cruz.
It looks like all three of us seconded, which I'm guessing means that we're all in favor, but just to confirm, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We do need for the record an official second, please.
Let's call it Commissioner Cruz because I think we heard him first. Upcoming events and announcements, please look at flagstaff365.com for upcoming RAD events in music, culture, art, and sciences. Yeah, that's going in the minutes. We have the Anderson General Tire DIA grant celebration and mural unveiling scheduled for Saturday, March 28th, 2026 from 4 to 6 p.m. And I'm guessing a calendar invite will be going out for that.
It has gone out.
Okay. Then it probably is in my calendar. And we have a staff announcement.
Yes, just wanted to let you know that HDR, the architect of the Downtown Connection Center, did enter the Downtown Connection Center in the sustainable built environment category for the Arizona Forward Environmental Excellence Awards, and we were named a finalist. A strong component of that application was the public art, both the Southside Grove and the Lion Eyes Through the Forest as part of the community connection component to the award. So we're going to go, there's going to be some representation that's going to go down on March 21st, and hopefully we come back with a little trophy. And I know some people, the Vice Mayor is going to be attending at our table. So thank you, Vice Mayor, for your support.
Absolutely. Excited.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Jana, for letting us know. Great news.
Right. Action items. Reselection of chair and possible reselection of vice chair for the remainder of the term. Jana, take it away.
I know it's a little awkward for you to run this, so I will run it. So Commissioner McCord has resigned from acting chair. She is not. I want to make it very clear. She's as enthusiastic as being a commissioner as she ever has been. It's just with some travel and some things, she's not really able to be as much in person for the remainder of the term. And so therefore she just wanted to step down from that aspect. So we need to first select a chair, and it will be just for the remainder of Chair McCord's term, which is till the August meeting. So do I hear any nominations?
I will self-nominate.
We hear a nomination for Michael Rulon. Are there any other nominations?
Jenna, I'll
Okay.
second that nomination if we need to do a second.
Yeah, well, we haven't made the motion, so I'm just asking for nominations first, but that'll be, so if there are no other nominations, do I hear a motion to confirm Commissioner Rulon as chair for the remaining of the term?
I'll move.
Do I hear a second?
This is Audra. I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I
And Commissioner Rulon, I think you do have to vote.
Oh, I did raise my hand, but yes.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I can't see
It's
that.
okay.
All right. So it passes unanimously, but now there's a vacancy for vice chair. So now we have to, but Chair Rulon, I'm going to let you now run the vice chair nomination.
All right, so do we have any nominations or self-nominations for vice chair?
This
And
is
don't be
Audra.
that person who nominates the person who's not here.
This is Audra. I will self-nominate for vice chair.
Thank you. Any others?
Then if there are no others, you can move to a motion.
I will move to approve Commissioner Travelby's self-nomination for vice chair.
Do you want to ask for a second?
Yes, second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner Cruz. All in favor? Aye.
I
That sounded unanimous to me. Thank you, Vice Chair Travelby.
Congratulations, everyone.
Very nice.
Very nice.
That was quick and painless. All right. We have a few discussion items, starting with our dear friend Julie Komnick, Executive Director of Creative Flagstaff.
Good afternoon, commissioners, council members. Pleasure to be here. I didn't quite get a time frame, so 10 minutes-ish, presentation-ish. I think we're good. Great. And this does something if I aim at something.
I don't think anybody's being timely on this.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. We're good on time. Excellent. Great. Well, thank you for the invitation to be here this afternoon to present on the Creative Flagstaff programming from fiscal year 2026 that aligns with the scopes of our contract as lead arts agency and grants agency with the city of Flagstaff. Let's see if this goes. What am I aiming at? You? The computer. The arrow? Yes, it's the arrow. Arrow. There we go.
There we
No,
go.
sorry.
It was me clicking the thing.
Sorry.
Let me
Okay.
see if I can help you. If not, if you would like, I can just forward for it.
Yeah, so you just. How'd you do
I
that?
just clicked this button.
I don't have a good relationship with remotes. So.
Yeah.
Great. So we're just gonna go through a number of things, starting with our role as lead arts agency and the types of things of programming that we run through Coconino Center for the Arts, and then we'll move on to some of our external events and activations, and then finish up talking about our role as the grants agency. So with exhibitions, we offer 10 plus exhibitions each year between the main gallery, the project gallery, and some satellite activations. So I'm starting with this image. You've hopefully seen it over the years. This is a project, Parched, the Art of Water in the Southwest, that we produced at CCA back in 2020, but we're really excited that after traveling it for 2 years initially, it went back to its artists. We ended it as a traveling exhibition, but we were invited by the Setbaki Museum, that's run by the city of Phoenix, to reconvene this exhibition for a full calendar year. So that's up at Setbaki, if you're ever at the airport, before the end of June or sometime in July. I don't know when it actually ends. In July, I think. Please stop by and see that exhibition. It's a really great way to share what we do here in Flagstaff, more broadly across the state, and recognize that impact. So I'm just going to go fairly quickly through the exhibitions we've had this year and then give you a preview of the final couple that we have left in the fiscal year. So as you all know, we launched our Route 66 Centennial a little bit early because we had the pleasure of hosting 2 very important exhibitions during this time frame. So we had the late Edward Keating in the main gallery. Edward Keating is a Pulitzer Prize winning a documentary photographer known for his works that he photographed during 9/11. Due to complications from spending so much time on the 9/11 site, he died prematurely, but in the meantime, traveled Route 66 many times from a photo documentary perspective, photographing of the sort of behind the scenes, the underbelly, as I call it, of Route 66. On the other side of the gallery was Portland, Oregon artist, photo documentarian Wes Pope, who photographed Route 66 using pop cans, soda cans as pinhole camera obscura. So all the images had a warped perspective, also black and white photography. And on the left of the screen, you see that in the project gallery, we had shades of Route 66, celebrating diversity on Arizona's Mother Road. And that was a project by the Klein Library Special Collections that we hosted as a satellite venue. Then in the fall, we had Shifting Topographies, 3 artists looking at landscape extraction through different angles, abstract paintings, sculptures that actually have mining minerals and deposits in the glazes, and then also the late Clee Benally, whose legacy, life, and activism and art pertains to mining in Arizona and on native lands. That was really well received. We were really happy to have, I believe it was 6 reviews in regional publications, including Southwest Contemporary, I'm going to get the name wrong. It's not the Navajo Times. It's the, I'll come up with it in a second.
Navajo Hopi Observer.
Thank you. The Observer, Navajo Hopi Observer, the Williams Grand Canyon paper. So some publications that were not regularly reviewed in, they took up this exhibition. We're happy to see that reach. Simultaneously in the project gallery, Flagstaff artist, NAU faculty member Neil Galloway had an exhibition using the metaphor of tin cans, talking through tin cans on a street string to talk about communication in the digital age and potentially the disconnect there. Followed, of course, by our biennial 4 miniature golf, which is a 9-hole miniature golf course made by artists and local community groups. It's a fundraiser for us, but also an opportunity to bring new faces into the gallery. And we do tend to see those people who come for the first time to play miniature golf returning for our concerts and exhibitions throughout the year. We currently have youth arts. This slide would have been updated, except for we didn't have the new exhibition up until the day these were due. Youth arts this year, we're super excited to announce that we have a record number of young artists and pieces. We have 510 works of art by over 300 young artists. Our reach was a little bit further this year. We were able to include some youth artists from Williams and some other surrounding areas, but also just the teachers and the families. You can participate if you're homeschooled or not even in an art class, but I think people are recognizing that this is an annual event. Super excited to be part of it. Coinciding with Youth Arts Month, we have ongoing youth arts workshops in the gallery in March, and it's also an opportunity for us to talk about how we celebrate youth experiences throughout the year, which I'm going to get to after one more slide. So hang on to youth in your mind real quick. Preview of the upcoming exhibitions that get us to the end of the fiscal year. Our next exhibition is Ever Present. The work of Jose Luis Sotero and Guillermo Galindo will be April through May, and then we'll finish out the fiscal year with Night Visions. Amber. Night Visions is typically an every other year exhibition for us. It's a national jury, technically international juried exhibition in partnership with the Flagstaff Dark Skies Coalition. That call for entry is still open, so if you know anyone who is interested in night skies through art, send them to Coconino Center for the Arts. Now we'll return back to youth. We're super excited to be expanding our youth art opportunities year round. So we now have a dedicated youth curriculum that accompanies all of our exhibitions. So we can distribute that to K through 12 teachers for field trips. We also have it available when families with youth come to the exhibition. So it's a way for them to engage. It'll have questions or activities or ways to interpret the artwork throughout. We also have launched, starting last year, creative camps, and we're excited to be offering those again in June. 4 weeks of week-long day camps instructed by local arts educators, giving students, youth, an opportunity to engage in a variety of disciplines. We have a strong scholarship program, so most youth with need are able to participate at little or no cost based on scholarship availability. We have a renovated theater. If you haven't been, come check it out. We have much more comfortable seating thanks to seating sponsorships and new carpeting and some new window treatments. It's much more comfortable. And we're super excited to have been continuing our robust schedule of concerts, performances, and presentations. So we regularly have artist talks, film screenings, and this year's concerts. This is what I pulled up a list of. The list no longer fits on a slide, so I don't even attempt to include it. But just, a range of local performers to national and even international acts. So locally, we have Summit Dub Squad, regionally, Ed Caboti and the Yotes. S.E. Willis has been doing some really great blues performances. Sihasan performed at CCA this year for the first time in a long time. That was wonderful. Then we've had everything from the Promazzi Nasser Quartet, not a common name. They're from New York and Italy, did this wonderful piano quartet thing that was amazing. And just last weekend, we had the legendary Bruce Coburn sold out show. It was amazing. So what I love about the venue at CCA, it really is an intimate experience, the type of thing you'd see at the MIM, Kit Recital Hall. If you can't get into those places, or often like Bruce Coburn had just performed twice at the MIM, made it to CCA on his way, elsewhere. So we're on the track for bringing some exciting performers to Flagstaff. And we've been able so far to keep those ticket prices accessible as much as we can to the community. Okay, here we go. Great. Also, our role as lead arts agency includes professional development opportunities. We just wrapped up our fourth workshop for the year. Really good participation in all of these. So last year we had 4 professional development opportunities identified for preparing artists to prepare for professional opportunities and grants. We'll continue that group again next year. It seems to be the right rotation to offer them every other year. And this year we expanded our offerings for digital marketing and AI for nonprofits, specifically managing web presence for artists. We had board basics, bylaws, roles, development, and succession planning. I thought that would be one that would not get that much of a draw. And it was, we had over 50 people at that presentation. So there's actually a lot of interest in that. And then this last Saturday, we had diversifying funding, partnerships, and tax awareness for artists and nonprofit. That was one that specifically responded to a request by the city and BPAC specifically to talk about partnerships between individual artists and nonprofits. We have a lot of questions about that. And we had a stronger, it was like probably 20 participated, but they were the full range of nonprofits and individual artists with exactly those questions. And we had our CPA there to answer the tax specific questions, and it was a really good conversation. We've also seen repeat attendance. There's a handful that come to all of these and they take notes and they're active participants, and they really value the range of opportunities we've been offering. So super excited to continue with those on a rotation that makes sense that people can take them again or find new opportunities as they evolve. Great. Okay, before I go on to the next slide, because I forgot to make a slide for it, but that's okay. I wanted to build in that we also offer what we call cultural convenings, more or less quarterly, responding to needs that come up. So we've had this year one about shared resources, how nonprofits can identify their needs, volunteers, interns, marketing, whatever, and connect with each other to share those resources and support the individuals in those areas, and coming up with an ongoing list share for those types of things. Programming calendars, aligning organizations that have several years of programming in the works so we can better identify where we have overlaps or can co-promote or change our schedules if we see that there's too much overlap. And then last Friday, recently, a very recent Friday, we dedicated a cultural convening to Art Walk. I thought it was a great session. We are in the role of resuming our oversight of Art Walk we could go Friday, sorry, in partnership with the Downtown Business Alliance, looking to build on the success of the impact that the DBA has had, and also rekindle all the things that we've been wanting to do with Art Walk. So we hosted at Fire Creek, a downtown location, essentially a listening session to hear from the experiences of the businesses and artists who have been involved in Art Walk, share the plans for the upcoming season, and also to hear and share new ideas for activation. So there were so many good ideas. Like, the enthusiasm in that room was incredible. Just different ways to activate. It's not necessarily a display of paintings on the wall. Great. If someone wants to host a month-long exhibition and host an artist reception, awesome. But there might be some other pretty straightforward temporary activations to really make First Friday Art Walk special and inclusive and all the things. So really robust conversation, took a lot of notes, and we look forward to working with the DBA to build those plans for our upcoming season and beyond. Then,
when you do the cultural convenings, can you remind me how you put that information out?
Well, it's shifting. We're shifting to do better at all the things. There is a cultural convenings list that's quite extensive. It's like a couple hundred people. That's point people for the local nonprofit organizations, artists who have been involved. But then it turns out like our board wasn't on the list, So identifying what that list actually is and making sure it's reaching the right people. Also with the cultural convening, sometimes it shifts, the invitation shifts based on who's involved, like Art Walk. It was actually great that Mary Kershaw came. But typically, like Art Walk, we'd be looking at people in the path of Art Walk who have participated in the past. That might be a different list than those that are organizations with 3-year programming. So I think we need to better refine.
Like if somebody wanted to be on the list, they can reach out to you.
They should, yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yes, so let's say we're building the list. That's where we are right now. Okay, great. Towards that, the Art Walk piece, one of the roles we see being able to expand upon is better connecting the businesses who want to have art with artists. We've just launched this year our countywide artist registry. We're still building that, but looking to continue to build that. And that's a resource for businesses who want to have art, and there are artists who want to be in places, and hoping that that can happen more organically. So being a facilitator role for that. Great. ArtX, as you all know, is coming up. I'm really happy that Danny Commando was able to join you last month for that meeting, and I gave you the behind the scenes of some of the upcoming projects. But we're really happy that with $125,000, we awarded to over 20 projects. There were a total of 47 applications from, regionally, some national. So we're putting together an exciting multi-day presentation, activation, all the words that describe ArtX, which is the week following. Oops, that's the wrong button. Of course. The Viola Awards, which Danny also shared with you. This year, we're super excited to have a record number of nominees, 137. Last year, it was 67 something. So over double the number of nominations. So I think people are really excited about or knowing more about how to nominate, the value of nominating, the value of celebrating the arts in our community. So we're essentially what will happen. We have Viola Awards, then the next weekend is the consolidated display of ArtX with some preview events between those. So it's going to essentially be a Viola Awards happens, and then there's rolls out what feels like, well, what is, 10 days of arts and activations with a consolidated display of ArtX happening that following weekend. So doing all the things, which also is Art Walk, but all the things at once. That might be it. Nope, that's not it, because the thing I'm most excited about sharing is arts and science grants. Sorry, that was the lead arts agency coming to a close. Grants agency role. So this year, so far in my role, every year there's sort of a focus of the type of things I get really into, the history, where it's been, and rework the pieces. And this year was the grants focus. So starting with project grants, project grants, application for project grants, really revising, overhauling that application, trying to make it much more accessible and efficient for both the applicants and the reviewers. Thank you, commissioners who served on that committee. I think we saw a whole lot of exciting projects come through. We definitely heard from the artists that it was a more straightforward process. We really value the feedback. We did receive feedback that we'll continue to build in as we continue to refine those applications, but I think they're in a much better place. Same thing with the general operating support, just overhauled that. It is in line with the project grant, so they look very similar now, obviously different outcomes. So that is open with a deadline of April 3rd. So excited to have both of those applications overhauled. We'll continue to refine in the future. That said, this year we saw a significantly increased need for the grants based on the number of applications and the amount requested. So general operating support, we had $490,000 to award, and that was awarded for 39 projects out of 43 applicants. And then project grants, $125,000 awarded to 16 projects out of 35 applicants. So about the same number of projects awarded as last year with project grants, but they had higher requests. So somehow that all aligned. But we're super proud to have supported so many good projects here in Flagstaff. I think that's it. Now that is my last slide. Here we go. Are there any questions from the commission?
Hey, this is Commissioner Cruz. I have a question and a comment.
Go ahead.
Thanks. So, Julie, great job on the 4. I've gone the last few years and I've loved it. And I really suggest other commissioners, if you haven't been, it's a wonderful fundraising event for CCA. My question, just real quick, is about the, I like the idea of the different golf holes, but the one with the pinballs, like the Plinko pinball thing, looks like it was a repeat. And so I'm curious if maybe you didn't have enough submissions this year, or if you, for whatever reason, granted special permission for that artist to re-enter the opportunity.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Cruz, and thank you for attending 4. So we did this last time around too, and I'll explain why, because your question is valid. Last time and this time we invited from the previous 4, the best of show, to come back to highlight that piece again, which is in part because we wanted to make sure we had enough strong pieces in the show. It also tells our story of the past experiences. On the wall next to each pole, each green, there's an artist statement, and on that it does explain that that was invited back because it was best of show, and therefore it's not eligible to receive the award a second time.
Good
It's
to know.
also, and Commissioner Cruz, to expand on that, part of the reason we decided to do this every other year rather than every year is because while there's great talent in this community, there's really only so much great talent of people who have the time and energy and creativity to build like a functional miniature golf hole mini green, right? We want it to be a good course. And the year we did it twice in a row, it was a real strain because people want to do it a second time, but not every year. So we want to make sure it's good and it's solid. But yeah, that's the honest answer to your question is it's twofold. It tells our story, it brings back a good green, and also it's hard to get a full 9-hole course.
Wonderful. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thanks. Any other questions?
I did have a quick question. This is Audra. If we could just circle back to Art Walk real quick and the convening. I just wanted to clarify because Culture Connection has hosted several art exhibitions for First Friday Art Walk, and a lot of those have been funded by BIA grants or grants through Creative Flagstaff. So could you just clarify why we weren't invited to that conversation? I know there's been some confusion about like we're kind of outside of the perimeters of official DBA boundaries, but I just want to make sure that we're still going to be included in Art Walk because we're literally having big art exhibitions with hundreds of people. So
No, absolutely, Commissioner Trugby, and congratulations on your new space. I didn't just caught up on that. I apologize if you were omitted. I believe Culture Connections is on our cultural convening list that this was sent to. So I would love to check in with you specifically after this to make sure the contact is current on that, because I know you've been on the list for other cultural convenings. And the second piece of that is one of the goals of resuming oversight of Art Walk is to be able to expand the footprint to those organizations or artist studios that are, I'm putting this in air quotes, walkable, because we're also talking about accessibility and how we frame that in terms of walking, but within a path of Art Walk that have been excluded by when DBA's only able to have oversight over that specific area. So Audra, if we could catch up on making sure our contact is correct, because I would have loved to have you there.
thanks, Julie.
I'm not sure how much of a formed question it is, but tying together a few of the things that you discussed, I've been on some grant committees, both, I mean, here and with Creative Flagstaff, and I've seen so many organizations that have great projects and need help with putting together their grants. And I know there are limits to how we as members of the granting committee are able to reach out to them and say, hey, there are resources to help you with your grant writing. I would love to figure out ways to get those nonprofits into those workshops. Because I feel so bad telling these people over and over again, great project, there are issues.
Yes, I thank you. I completely agree. So we feel like having last year taught the I'm going to say the most comprehensive grant writing workshop, and also pairing it with how to photograph your artwork, how to write about your artwork, or for nonprofits for projects. So we have, how to write that resume, how to do the descriptions, plus the grant application workshop. I feel like part of why we had such a strong application pool for the last round of project grants is because so many of them did attend.
Yeah.
Now we need to encourage all of them to attend. So I think we're in this together, right? The more reach we have, more advertising. I'm hopeful that if they were not successful this time, they're going to be encouraged to engage in those. But yeah, the reach is like, I mean, we feel like we're reaching as far as we can, but we might be missing some resources. Or if you could help us know how to reach better who we might be missing, that's super helpful.
Yeah.
And we, you know, we do have those, at least the grant writing one is, you know, you can participate remotely and that's recorded, so they could access that at any time. The ones that are more hands-on, like the writing ones and the resume building, we do a lot of peer review in those. It's actually a very productive workshop. It's harder to do that remote, but I'm sure we could figure out a way to make that more resourceful. But I completely agree with you. We want everyone to be prepared for those professional opportunities.
Oh, yeah. And I've seen some artists who, from one submission to the next, you can see the growth.
Improvement,
And,
yeah.
And there were some that I would love to see more growth.
Yes, absolutely.
And, yeah.
Great. Yeah, and that's one, I mean, I would say this for all of the programs we just shared, but for professional development specifically, we would not be able to invite our co-presenters or host those without the support of BPAC. So it really is direct, like, you are able to fund us doing this, and here's the outcome, and I think it's a big help to our community members.
Mm-hmm. I appreciate that. And I was glad to hear that the attendance was so good.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
I appreciate you being willing to talk about what those professional development opportunities could be, and when an area clearly needs a little attention.
Yeah.
You were able to get it out there.
Oh, thank you. And I would also say that continues even while we're planning to offer a similar range as we did last year, because that need is there. If there's ideas or that you identify a place that could use more support, we can either add one, swap one out, or, you know, combine some topics to make sure that's offered.
Other questions, comments? Thank you as always for everything you do to support arts and artists and everything.
Thank you.
All right. Next, we have Vice Mayor Sweet's monthly report.
All right. Thank you, everyone. I had a couple of things that, or at least one that I was going to go over, but I'm going to wait until there's more people in person because I have a handout. So I'm going to hold off on that. But I did want to talk about the mural unveiling that I went to this last Thursday. It's the mural in the alleyway on the Aloha Barbecue building. The artist Christy Raucus was there and her family. And what I thought was so cool, the mural has, I'm going to say she's a muse. So there's a beautiful woman in the mural, and that woman was at the unveiling. And it's the first time that I've met the artist and the muse, and just, it was a great celebration. The muse was Trina Jade, and it was just such a heartfelt experience. I could tell how much that event meant to the artist, and it was very cool to see. And again, pardon?
And to love.
Yes, yeah. And so the alleyway, I take a lot of photos there because my store is right around the corner, and the alleyway for so many years has been not the prettiest. And that mural just added such life, and I'm hoping to someday see a mural on the other side of the alley on a totally different building. I just think it's fantastic. So it was a great showing. A lot of people came.
Can I add? One of the things that makes this even more exciting, but it's a very logistical question, is we have wanted to put murals in there for some time. I don't know if you know this.
No.
And the owners of the buildings have always said they were not willing to let the city put art in there until we fixed all the drainage problems, which
Yeah.
it's not something that the BPAC has the authority, or,
Right.
you know, my programs can't do that. So one of the things that made me overjoyed is the fact that this artist had the ability to use funding, and she was able to convince one of the building owners to allow her to do that when the city never could have. So it shows how the different programs accomplish things differently, right?
Yeah.
Where, I just think it's great. It's great to identify how like we could try to do stuff and sometimes the city's not going to be able to overcome certain hurdles. And then, you know, you put it out to the community and it happens and it's a beautiful thing.
I love that background. Thank you. I had no
I thought that
idea.
would be worth sharing.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure.
So it really has transformed that area. And I'm just so appreciative that it was able to happen. That's it for me.
There were even discussions about what could go in that space opposite the mural.
Uh-huh.
I suspect we may be seeing a BIA grant in the future for something in that
I
area.
certainly hope so.
Yeah,
It's a great space.
it makes that alleyway look so much more
Oh my
welcoming.
gosh, yeah.
And that's one of the reasons we've wanted to do something there because that whole area, we want the alley activation.
Yeah.
So this is, and I went down and saw, I hope so. And I went down and saw the artist as she was painting it and just spoke with her briefly and it was really neat. She was very excited as she was doing the art as well.
Yeah.
But it was very impressive.
Yeah, I spoke to her a few different times. It was great to see it all come together.
Yeah.
So.
Any questions or further comments for Vice Mayor Sweet? In that case, I will turn it over to Jana for Beautification and Arts and Sciences FY27 requested operating cost increases.
Okay, so last month we covered capital expenditures, the requests that we made. I do have to emphasize, we lost our our presentation. I do have to emphasize that these are requests, and we will find out soon by March 20th, I believe, whether or not they have been granted. And it is in April. You know, I'm getting ahead of myself, but we're also going to cover transfers briefly. I promised you a slide last month, but we're going to mostly be focusing on the operating budget requests tonight to just inform you what was requested and hopefully, fingers crossed, we got what we asked for. Next. Okay, so the transfers for capital projects run by others. Last month I focused on the capital projects that we ourselves project manage, but there are some and they're just direct transfers. And I told them to you verbally and I promised you a slide. So here it is, so you can see it in writing. Bollards to close down Aspen from LaRue to San Francisco. We're offering up $200,000. That is to help, activate art events. We're not paying the total amount. We're paying a portion. The Lone Tree Overpass, this is the year it gets the big money, $2 million. Next year, you'll see I'll get $900,000. This year it got $250,000. So it is a lot of money for the aesthetic improvements of a giant bridge across the railroad tracks in Valley. This is the paint, this is the form liners, this is the fences. So it's a very expensive project. The other one, the amount has changed a little bit from what I verbally told you. It's less. $330,000 for the downtown mile, the Milton Rail Bridge underpass. We had 350,000, I think I told you last month, plus 100,000. And that much wasn't needed. So the request went in for 330. So I had 400, I told you 450 that last month. So it's less. Next. But now into operating grants. And I'm going to just turn off my camera here because it's lagging on me a little bit. Okay, so one thing to understand about operating grants is we have reoccurring money And that's money that automatically gets approved every year. And then we have one-time money. And that means that we have something special in operating that's happening that's a little unusual. So we're asking, for one-time money. So in column D, you see current reoccurring funding. So I'll just kind of take the first line. So we know we're automatically going to get $40,000 every year to do maintenance. And this is maintenance on most of our public art projects. We're not asking for any increase in the regular 40,000 each year. So it's blank on column B, but on column C, we are asking for a one-time request for a project that we just think is going to be very expensive, some log replacement on Butler. It may not be this expensive. We're being cautious, but we know that to do the logs that we just put in two-spot, of which the logs were free, that was $18,000. So we know we can't get logs for free for this project. And so we kind of just, didn't know where we were going to source them. So we're asking for one-time $50,000. Everything else you see on this first page and the beautification fund requests is 2 pages long. Basically, this all is related to the fact that we are requesting an additional staff member. Again, we don't know if that's approved, but all of this is related to having an additional staff member. And so this money has to be reoccurring, because that staff member hopefully is going to stay for many years. So, the rents, we're going to have an additional office space to pay for, travel and lodging for conferences. And so you can, see that, you take the new money requested, the current, and then it gets to the total in FY27 in column E. Okay, next. Now, I'm sorry, this is a little confusing, but we are special projects and unprogrammed work. There's a lot of things in here, okay? We have the traffic signal cabinets are in here. So, in FY26 this year, 30,000 went to traffic signal cabinets. We have $10,000 for a holiday decoration service contract to put up those wreaths and garlands every year. The flowers program was only 25,000 out of this line item. And then we had just special projects for 50,000, but we had 110,000 in another line item for the flowers. We're a little tired of having 2 line items for one thing, so we are combining those. So that's why on line 10, you see negative 110, and 133 on line 9 of the new reoccurring is that 110. So it's not really $133,000 that we're, asking for new money. It's $23,000 in new money that we're asking, and that is to help us get to the amount that we need for the new contract for the flowers program. It is I think, I don't remember the exact amount. I think it's 153. We generally just want 158 for inflation, so we don't have to ask for more money next year. But then there's a big item, $160,000 one time, and that is for something that is only a possibility. There has been talk about, and I don't want to go into too much detail because I think it's been talked about a little bit by Vice Mayor Sweet. There has been talk about the city buying the Orpheum, or helping run the Orpheum, or there's a lot of different options going on. But if the city didn't step in on this, this is for $160,000 for historical preservation easement for the Orpheum. And Dave, did you want to add anything about that HPC easement for the Orpheum information?
Sure. As Janet was just mentioning, it's kind of a placeholder. Some of the due diligence that we've been doing, we've been talking about the Orpheum. I don't want to get out in front of council on this one, but We are still doing that due diligence. We're still doing hazardous materials testing and other things of the building to make sure we know exactly what we're getting into. One of the things that we included in the appraisal would be, if we weren't able to purchase it, but if they wanted, we could buy a historic preservation easement that would preserve the historic features of the building without putting the entire building in city ownership. I don't know if that's a direction they would want to go. I don't know if that's a direction council will want to go, but we're trying to set ourselves up to be able to do the things that need to get done to make it happen. And beautification funding has been the source for most historic preservation projects over the last decades. So the 160,000 would not purchase the Orpheum, obviously, but it might be able to provide funding to assist in the preservation of the historic facade or historic features, should they choose to sell it on the market, but want to let us buy the value of that historic preservation, and that way it would preserve it from whatever purchaser was going to do with it. Thanks. I think I sort of stumbled over myself at the end there, but does that make sense? It would be completely up to the current owners whether they would allow this to happen. But if we don't end up in a formal transaction for the building itself, and they wanted to preserve the historical facade as a part of their sale, we could help to cover that cost and maintain that historic piece.
Okay, thank you.
That money doesn't get spent.
Yeah, thank you, Dave. So, and that kind of brings me to line 12. This is a line for grants. And as Dave alluded to, we actually do fund historic preservation grants overall. Their current funding is 160, and they do not want any increase. However, also in this line is our BIA grants, and we have had 125,000. And as you know, though, we had 14 applicants come in last go round. So we're asking for an increase of 75,000 for ongoing, so that we'll have $200,000 to put towards BIA grants. We are going to cap that. We're going to tell each round that, and it is now in the grant application information, that no more than $100,000 at each of our 6 months will be allotted. Right now, it doesn't look like that's going to be a problem in the upcoming March due to the number of applicants. So but we're kind of how we were running with, I think we had 12 in last March and then 14 on the September 15th deadline. We thought we want to fund as many of these great projects as possible, like the new mural that Vice Mayor Sweet just went to the opening of. We want to keep these up. We get great projects out of this money. And so we thought it was worth asking for this increase. So before I go on to arts and sciences, I'm just going to ask, does anybody have any questions about the beautification requests? Okay, hearing none, then I'll go next. You can still ask a question at the end. I just thought maybe if one was fresh in your mind. Okay, so arts and sciences, I'm going to be handing this off to Dave in just a minute. This does have everything to do with the contract with our lead arts agency. And our reoccurring funding for the grants portion, the reoccurring amount this year was 440,000, and the reoccurring amount for the admin that goes along with those grants, as well as the leadership, was 118. Now, that does not mean that's all we gave Creative Flagstaff last year. We gave them a lot of one-time money, and that's not here. So I just wanted to, clear that up, make sure you understood that. So, but this year we are asking for, in general, and this is kind of an overview, more money in the reoccurring because we do have it available. So that it's kind of permanent, and that will kind of help support to the nonprofits that, the GOS money especially the general operating support, is really strong. So we're asking for 110 to be reoccurring every year, which will make that reoccurring amount 550. And then we're asking for one-time request of 125, and that mostly will go for the innovation grants. But Dave's going to go into that in a little bit more detail. To keep up with the 1%, or the percentage for admin fee, there's more money in the reoccurring in line 3, 23,910. And then there's a one-time request. I will say that we are giving less money. We are giving total of $1 million and 1,100,000. That's our request. It is less than last year. We have decreased the amount for Art X in the next fiscal year for the projects because they're not going to be doing the bigger programming. They're going to be, that's more of a big biennial event. And so, and then some of the leadership money also that attached to Art X is kind of where the decreases came. So with that and more explanation of that, all the grants that come out of this funding request, I'm going to turn it over to Dave McIntyre.
We'll head on to the next slide. I have to tell you, I think you hit most of my talking points. So this might be a fairly easy
I didn't mean
presentation.
to.
Fair enough. So a breakdown, a little bit of the breakdown of the requested funding, and you'll see the reduction in the blue box up above. So what we're excited about this year is this ability to add more to the ongoing. As mentioned, ongoing has been the most challenging. I think you guys, all the commissioners have heard the conversation about ongoing in one time, and ongoing is usually the most challenging to get. And we know that for things like general operating support, you don't want to use one-time funding in case that disappears. So when we do have the ability to add some ongoing support, we feel pretty excited about that. And this year we were able to. For a little historical context, we were at 400,000 for many years in terms of ongoing. And last year we were able to get from that 400,000 to the 440,000. And this year, as Jana said, we were adding another 110,000 in ongoing to bring that support for the pass-through grant funding to that 550,000 overall. We wanted 500,000 of that to go to general operating support, and 50,000 of that to be added in for the innovation grants, which you heard about as well. There's a significant reduction, though, and that is in the one-time funding. We actually had. It's always interesting to me. I feel like I understand the budgets really well. And yet I don't always understand how the 5-year plans work exactly. That is an area where finance does amazing work to make sure that we are set up properly for 5 and 10 years out. And so sometimes the way the capacity works, I don't think I could explain perfectly, but we had a reduced capacity in the one time. And so you'll know we offered 300,000 last year in one-time funding for the pass-through, and we're at 125,000 this year. That 300,000 though was inclusive of some additional operating support and a significant amount towards festival and events. So what does that mean? That means that there's actually a $65,000 reduction in what's going in through pass-through, but a significantly larger portion of it is ongoing and therefore guaranteed in 3 years, or not guaranteed, but as guaranteed as you can get in government financing. The majority of the funding decrease is going to not be a part of the festivals and events. And since it's going to be an off year for Art X, that seems fair and appropriate. And we'll still be able to provide an increase in general operating support and the same amount for innovation grants based on the way it's looking right now. If this is the city managers, as Jana mentioned, this still has to be packaged up by the city manager, then provided to council. But we feel like these are very defensible options for the contract that we have. So next slide. So when it comes for the leadership investment, again, we were able to make a slight increase in that leadership investment to make it a little bit more ongoing. We had the grant administration go up because of the increase in the ongoing there too. And the ArtX capital comes down significantly. You can see there was a change, which is a reduction from the previous year, which is pretty similar to that, to the reduction from the ArtX itself. And so what we're kind of hoping, and we haven't worked with Creative Flagstaff to nail down exactly what the scope of work is going to be for this coming item. As you probably recall, the way that we have the contract scheduled now is that each year we're going to bring an amendment to council that they will consider, which is an updated scope of work. And that's because in the previous iteration of the contract, the scope of work was very, very detailed and supposed to be prescriptive for 5 years, and things change. Funding amounts change, and what we need them to do is going to change. And that's part of what that lead arts agency is for, is to work with the city and work with us to help identify what some of those changes are going to be. And also that way we can adapt when our 5-year plan shows a slightly lower amount or a slightly higher amount, and use those increases and decreases in a way that we can bring a scope forward that's going to match that amount. So if we are able to get this approved, then we'll really nail down what that scope is. I'm not putting Julie on the spot because I don't know how she's had to look at some of these changes, but because ArtX is not going to be having this next year, and because a lot of the money that's reduced came out of the festivals and grants and ArtX, we're hoping that the scope won't be massively deteriorated, but they are going to be receiving about $115,000 less than they did last year. Creative Flagstaff is. Next slide. So I guess before we work our way through related budget steps, does that all make sense? Were people able to follow? Okay, thanks. I know everybody here is smart. I'm not questioning that. I just want to, it's me sort of rattling out a bunch of things in budget speak. And so I wanted to make sure I was going slow enough. So related budget steps, February 18th, division review. So we basically spent that time speaking with city manager's office and some budget folks to explain what our plans were. March 20th is when we hope to hear what the city manager's package is going to look like. And so at that point, we will know what will be presented to council. There's also tied into the same day on March 20th is what's called callbacks. And that's where if something changes significantly or they have additional questions as they're finalizing things, we can go back in and be brought back in to talk about what those changes might be. On April 13th, BPAC, you'll be asked to consider a motion to recommend. And we will, of course, be working with you to understand any changes that the city manager's office and the budget and finance division requests of us, or changes in terms of what's being provided. And then it goes to council. Dun-dun-dun.
So Dave, I have a question on the February 18th meeting when you had the division review. Mm-hmm. Any surprises in the conversation? Were the questions what you anticipated? Were there asks that came out of kind of surprise? Just always kind of curious how those finance reviews go.
No, it went very well, which I'm grateful for. I also think we are lucky that because beautification and arts and sciences are special revenue funds of the BBB, so they're not areas that can be looked at to fill challenges in other divisions or the general fund. That makes it somewhat easier. And we always go in, and I'm super proud of our team for this. The managers do a really good job of making sure we make very judicious asks. And we look to your leadership over the years for helping us to get to the right kinds of asks and to help us know what you're going to want. So we have, generally speaking, had fairly smooth sailing in those conversations. And this year was not any different. We were, I thought it went really well. I think what we've heard, so we get guidance over the course of the year. We have been told not to expect staffing increases to be granted very often. Even though our fund has the capacity within our 5-year plan to do it, we know that this is in some ways potentially going to be a leaner year. And so there is a general desire to to be conservative with some of those ongoing and staffing pieces. I don't know whether that will carry into our particular asks or if that will just stay in the general fund. So I think what we did here was an understanding that the city is taking a conservative look at requests this year, but nothing that concerned them about our specific requests. There was some clarification questions, but nothing that expressed concern. So I can always be surprised, but I walked out feeling good.
Yeah,
Thanks for
good.
the question.
No, I appreciate it. The detail is really helpful. And Jana, I appreciate how you structured, what's the ongoing, how are we thinking about the new, and being able to really speak to each line item. So I really appreciate the thoroughness of staff and putting that together. Nicely done.
And also, I think so.
Thank you, Commissioner Curley.
That's
Jana
not
and
easy
Annalisa
work.
were
Good
in
job.
that meeting, so if they had something different to share, I'd be open to it.
I thought that they had no questions for you guys. Pretty much they were happy with what you were doing and it was well received was my impression.
And I will just add that obviously with our great staff that we have, with Ms. Woodall and Ms. Crujito, that, we will do fine and still produce great work if we don't get our staff request. So.
In fact, I even said that in our division review is that I think I said it slightly better than this, but I said we're kind of crushing it right now. This team is doing amazing work. If you choose to approve an additional staff person, it's just because the BPAC has a lot of great ideas. There's a lot of great work to keep doing, and another person would be able to make that happen even more so. But that we felt very good about where we are at the moment. It is something that we take very seriously when we look to add another staff person, because those are things that you take a lot of work. You want to do it very carefully. But Jan is completely accurate. And we even said that. We said, look, this is something we're doing a great job. This is not like to fix a hole. This is to take something that's working well and make even more of an impact.
I feel like you have to make Heidi's comment because she always says that CVB has the same budget as BAS and they have 13 staff versus 3 for
No, that is a
BAS.
great point.
So,
Wow. Yeah.
and I think she shared that in that meeting, but
Well, yeah, they have we'll just leave it there. It was a good one. Good comment. Any other questions or comments for Jana and I? We're back to you, Chair.
All right. Thank you for all that information. Hopefully things continue to go well. Do we have any requests for future agenda items? Hearing none, our next meeting will be Monday, April 13th, 2026, 4 p.m. Same bed time, same bed channel. And with that, we will adjourn the meeting. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Right. Cheers. Thanks.
Cold out there.